Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Thursday, June 4th, my youngest son's birthday. Oh, my God, he's 33. Oh, my Lord. It is 9:08 a.m. here in the great Northeast. That's what my Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me. We are broadcasting today from the United States of America, the most amazing, the singular country. And it's the place where the brave, like the veterans we will salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality group, the United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not be, could not be, and by Constitution would not be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things. These amazing founding fathers, they knew that government power, because of human nature, which would always abuse it, should only be a necessary evil protecting and organizing society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution, it ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, a ragtag bunch of immigrants who became Americans, many of them were rejects from around the world. They and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro show, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. Well, guys, great to be with you. Life, isn't life, it's always bittersweet. It is great. It is amazing. The good Lord makes it incredible. But then, it's life. And yesterday, some beautiful people buried their son. And, I don't know. It's just one of those things. He and his twin brother, and I'm talking about Timothy Gaynard, his brother Tommy, his twin brother, they were both born with spinal muscular atrophy. So they were wheelchair bound and I guess you could say profoundly crippled since their birth. But there were not two more beautiful people on the planet. We were talking to people. I mentioned it yesterday because yesterday was the day he was buried. And there was never a time, ever, when you would see these young men, these twins, that you would not be completely, totally uplifted by just their joie de vivre, They loved life. They both died very young. But that's life. That's what we got to deal with. And they, obviously, this family had to deal with not only the difficulties that their conditions created, caring for them and all of that, but they had to, watch them suffer. But they were just a beam of light in this world. So, in any event, we want to mention to you, we are on live stream, and that is brought to you by our friends at Roach Supply. They are the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania and beyond. 75 years in business, nonagenarian Ron Roach, veteran Ron Roach, at the helm, 2 generations working under him. You visit Roach Supply, R-O-C-H-E, roachsupply.com today, or go to Chapman Supply in Clark Summit. That's their company as well. Something struck me, and I was on a group text that I'm involved, and we're looking at Spencer Pratt. Was it Pratt? Platt, whatever. They're running for mayor of Los Angeles. They're going to steal the election. I came to that conclusion this morning. I said they're going to steal this election. The way California works, and it's done with purpose, by the way, so that the Democrats and the government people can control elections. Everybody runs as one. It doesn't matter what party you are in. And so Spencer comes in second. But now it takes weeks to count the votes. Like, what year are we in? California is the tech hub of the world. Hey, Jake, we got some problem with our lines. Our phone lines. Senator McCormick is trying to call in, and they're all tied up or something. But, I mean, they're going to steal this election. They're going to find the votes they have to find, and it's frightening. Absolutely frightening. We'll see. Maybe I'll be surprised pleasantly that they don't steal this mayoral election. They can't have Spencer Pratt because he totally defies what they want, what their system is. He's disruptive to their sick, corrupt, left-wing lunatic system is. So we'll be watching that. And that realization this morning, as I was looking across, and you've got this terrorist sympathizer wins the Democrat primary in New Jersey for U.S. Congress, and you've got this Graham Plattner, who's essentially an insane person, who's leading and expected to be the Democrat nominee for United States Senate from that state. It's remarkable stuff. Anyway, we're good here because we've got Senator Dave McCormick, and he is with us right now. Senator, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Bob?
Doing well. I guess we had some phone issues, but we got you on almost on time.
No problem. Great to be with you. How's everything?
All's well here, and part of that is because of you. You're making things a little bit better for all of us, and I mean that. I don't say it just to be, slathering it on, but you've done an amazing job for us.
Well, I appreciate it, and man, if we thought the stakes were high, we're seeing more now than ever because. I just heard your last segment here. We're seeing this extremism that's not only taking hold, but it's becoming the dominant force in the Democratic Party. A bunch of ideas that sort of we thought we're in the dustbin of history: socialism, communism, a destruction of the capitalist society that's made America so great, anti-Semitism, hatred. I mean, Graham Plattner. I mean, call me crazy, but when I was a kid, and even a young man, the idea of having a Nazi tattoo would have been problematic for a political. Being a Nazi sympathizer would not have been helpful. Right? and here we have. I mean, this guy. We have the mainstream of the Democratic Party, Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, all these senators who want to run for president. They're all going to Maine to support a guy who has been a ridiculous liar, who presents himself as a pull himself up by the bootstraps oyster farmer when he went to a fancy school in Connecticut, Hotchkiss, and his one customer for his oyster business is his mom, who
it's all phony. It's all phony.
He gets
Everything.
oysters for the restaurant. I mean, you can't make this up.
I know.
Mean, it's unbelievable.
Well,
it's unbelievable.
When I look at the Democrat Party as it is today, they're funded, and it's like follow the money. The Soroses, the Singhams, the Arabella Group, they're funding a radical left-wing ideology that the Democrat Party has been dancing to. And then you have the bureaucracy, and then you have the public union leadership, and then you have the media, and then you have academia. And all of these forces are combining to, in addition to, they're combining with people who are committing fraud to be the base of the Democrat Party and the driving force behind it. And it does all go back to money. One of the things you've been working on is the fraud part. The vice president, the White House task force, all that. That is huge. But they don't seem to care on the other side.
No, it is unbelievable. You look at the amount of spending and how the spending has grown in these entitlement programs, particularly Medicaid, where the pace of spending has grown by like 10% a year over the last 5 or 6 years in Pennsylvania and around the country. And yet the number of recipients of the people getting this money has stayed about the same. And so you got to ask yourself, where the heck is all that money going? And of course, there's been numerous studies. It's going into fraud, which really got, many. It's always been a problem. It got many times worse under Joe Biden, and we're seeing examples of that. We saw it in Minnesota with this entire network of Somalis that were raking billions of dollars from the taxpayer. We've seen it with the task force identifying more than $1.5 billion of fraud in California. So this couldn't be more important, not only to reduce the spending, but the thing that made America different was that you don't have these kleptocracies like you do in Russia, or throughout the world where people pay things off to get things done, where the government's corrupt, where people can't trust that the people that are elected to serve them or serving them in the government aren't taking a cut. And so I think you're going to see a lot more of this. I want to call out Dave Sunday, our Attorney General, who has been just a dynamo. He's only been in office 15 months, but he has been, after this fraud thing, we are number one in terms of going after fraud in the state under Sunday's leadership. And I was talking to a name you'll remember, Mehmet Oz, who you and I know. We love him. We competed against each other in 2022 and beat the heck out of each other. And he has gone on to lead CMS, and he and I are friends. And he's doing a great job of rooting this out. And he and the vice president, and he said Dave Sunday's doing a great job.
It's so deep. It's so broad-based. And the other thing that is happening, Senator McCormick, is that so much of these billions are going overseas to transnational criminal gangs, to foreign governments, foreign terrorists. It's stunning.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there's two sources of money I want to call out here. One is the foreign money coming in, and I'm sure we'll get to this, but China in particular is behind a lot of it's not just data centers, but it's a lot of the misinformation that we're seeing in our country is funded directly by China. It's funded, as you say, directly by the George Soros and Arabella and those groups as well. But there's a lot of foreign influence that is coming in the United States. When you go and look at those folks on the streets of New York City that are screaming anti-America, down with Jews, the whole thing, a lot of that's funded by extremists around the world, and then a lot of the pushback on technology and going after that in our communities is from China. So I'd love to talk about that for a minute. And then,
Please.
as you say, a lot of the money is going overseas. But the one thing I want to say, you and I grew up in the same area. I grew up not far from where you're talking right now in Bloomsburg. There's a big controversy around data centers, and I want to take a minute with your listeners, if I could, on this, Bob, which is,
Please.
I want to start by saying no senator is going to come and tell the people in Pittston or the people in Luzerne County, the people in Columbia County that they need to have a data center. These are decisions that need to be made by local communities. They get to decide. It's their backyard. They get to decide. But what's been happening is these opportunities come to Pennsylvania. There's some communities that have embraced them. Indiana counties embraced them. Others have opposed them. The important thing is that the people that are making the decision have the right information. And what's happened is China has put billions of dollars into the United States against AI and against data centers. And in China, the popularity of AI and data centers is 80%. In America, it's 20%. And part of the reason for that is this campaign. And the bottom line on these things, and in my hometown was McGee Carpet Mill. When I was growing up, there was 2,000 jobs. Now there's 100. So we need to find ways, whether it's national security, defense, pharmaceuticals, energy, to create economic growth and opportunity. That's what's going to keep our kids here. That's when it's going to create communities. These data centers aren't good or bad. They just are, in the following sense. They create lots of jobs building them. They create jobs running them. They create logistical jobs around them. The concerns about energy prices, they need to bring more energy than they use. If energy prices are going to go up, then we can't have them, right? So these guys have to commit to more energy than they bring. They got to commit to protecting the water. They got to commit to the taxes to the communities. They got to commit to local labor. And if the people that are deciding, township supervisors and county commissioners, if they have all those facts and they decide they don't want this coming to their communities, man, that's great. Everybody gets to decide, but we got to make sure that we got to make sure people have the right facts so they can decide what's best for them.
Well, what we're finding in Northeast Pennsylvania, we've got the usual left-wing lunatics, and I'm agnostic on it. I know you're not agnostic. I wouldn't go that far, but I'm agnostic on them. They may or may not be the best use of land and resources and all of that for a particular area, meaning, and I'm focused on Northeast Pennsylvania, but they've turned them into evil, these left-wing lunatics. They're not evil. They're businesses. They're massive investments. There are obvious positives. If the negative potential, particularly related to utilities, is controlled.
I totally agree with you. And my view is we got to find ways for Pennsylvania to grow. So the beauty of Pennsylvania is we got all this energy, and these things are very energy intensive. So one of the things I like is this energy revolution goes hand in hand with the AI revolution. But we also have national security. I mean, right up in that area, Toby Hanna, we've got the Scranton ammunition facility. We're going to spend a lot more on defense. We're going to spend a lot more on life sciences and pharmaceuticals. We have to have a plan to make sure Pennsylvania is at the forefront of this massive change that's going on in our country. We've been the arsenal of democracy. We've been the place that America innovates and invents. I think data centers and energy revolution is going to be part of that. It's not the whole thing. There's lots of other things. And what I want to make sure people know is we're in this battle, not just with China, but we're in a battle with North Carolina and Georgia and Florida and Texas. These investors that are going to build these things, they wanna come to Pennsylvania, but they're happy to go other places if they're not welcome in Pennsylvania. So we got to decide. And again, it's not going to be some senator from Washington saying we need to do this in Luzerne County. It's got to be the people that live there that make the decision. But when they make that decision, I just want to make sure they have all the facts. And if this isn't going to be one of the ways that we grow, then we got to find other ways to grow to make sure Pennsylvania is the place that is the most dynamic state, the most dynamic Commonwealth in the country. And I feel so optimistic about the future, Bob, for Pennsylvania. I mean, everywhere I turn around, it's Nippon and U.S. Steel, next generation steel making. It's Eli Lilly in the Lehigh Valley where they're building the new GLP, the weight loss drug. These are $100,000 a year jobs, 1,000 new jobs. It's Hanwha in the Philadelphia shipyard, 5,000 new jobs. It's energy projects. I was in Homer City the other day and got an update on Homer City the other day. This is a coal-fired plant that is going to be transitioned to a natural gas plant. It's going to be 4.4 gigawatts. 4.4 gigawatts. This is 1% of the entire energy demand in America coming out of Homer City. And it just as an example of what you were saying about utilities, they're going to put 1 gigawatt of that on the grid to lower prices, and then they're going to use 3 gigawatts plus to support data centers and other things. So there's a way through this. Everybody's got to decide what's best for them, but we got to have a plan for Pennsylvania to grow and be prosperous and make sure that the kids in your community and mine are taking advantage of all the things that are going on.
By the way, stepping back to the fraud issue and these wacko candidates the Democrats are pushing forward, John Fetterman, your senator, has been the voice of reason in the Democrat Party and is again on this issue. It's remarkable. I think you've infected him. You know,
he really is unbelievable. I was just with him yesterday, and I tell him, I said, listen. I say, John, listen, you should know I'm the 54th elected senator in Pennsylvania's history. He's the 53rd, and I'm the 9th senator in the history of America from West Point. But the title that my 6 daughters and Dina, my wife, would never dream possible. I'm the best dressed senator from Pennsylvania, and even Fetterman agrees with this, Bob. I mean, he shows up. You wouldn't believe it. No matter what, we go out. We have these events together, and he shows up every time, hoodie and those shorts. I think at this point, it's his brand. He can't change now. He's got to wear it.
Dear Lord. Well, I'll tell you what, he didn't make any sense until you got there. That's all I'm going to say. It's just maybe it's a coincidence, but it happened.
Well, the crazy thing is, we disagree on a lot more than we agree on.
Exactly.
I mean, we really do. He votes with his party, 85% of the time. I'm an unapologetic conservative, but he's a good man, and I can trust him, and he just can't stand this craziness going on in his party. And he I think it's because in part, he would say this, he had this near-death experience, as you remember, he had that stroke.
Yep.
And he just said, I have no tolerance for the bullshit, if you'll excuse my language. He has no tolerance for it. He just wants to do good things for Pennsylvania. And, the Pennsylvania elected him, and they elected me, and they want to get stuff done, and we're working hard to do it together.
Well, that's great stuff. Senator Dave McCormick, thank you as always. We appreciate it. Keep plugging for us down there, would you?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. Dave McCormick. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans this hour, as with every hour, this day, as with every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And it's Thursday, headed to the weekend. Good night to go out tonight itself. So we talk about the great spots that he has created, like the Old Brook Inn, 307, Springbrook Township. The Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the great Trips Park section of West Scranton, the reimagined neighborhood institution. The Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. Phenomenal. All. George Coulter of Narberth, suddenly stricken and passed away at Coulter Cottage near Fleetville, PA. Born in Latrobe, a graduate of Latrobe High School, class of 1960. He loved tennis. Graduated from Penn State University with an engineering and an MBA. He then embarked on a long, successful career with IBM, interrupted in 1968 by the U.S. Army, which sent him to Panama as an intelligence analyst to the Green Beret. After his discharge from active service, he returned to his job as systems analyst at IBM until retirement age. He was a fluent Spanish speaker, was an asset not only in his work for the Army in Panama, but also in his duties for IBM, as he had many business clients in Puerto Rico. He was said to excel at being a friend who was reliably eager to either help or join in laughter or tears. George enjoyed traveling, Europe, Kenya, all over the place. Survived by sister, niece, nephew, great nieces, and other family members. George Coulter. John Murphy III. We lost him at age 88, May 15th. Born in Scranton. He was the former president and CEO of Northeastern National Bank, which is now PNC. He graduated from Scranton Central High School in 1955 and from the College of the Holy Cross in 1959 with a Bachelor of Science degree in economics. He also attended New York Institute of Finance. Following college, John served all of us in the United States Army Reserve, 1961 to 1966, attaining the rank of Staff Sergeant. John spent 40 years with Bank of America and its predecessor banks as a financial analyst and portfolio manager. He retired in 2003 as vice president. Devoted member of Immaculate Conception Church in Cranston. He was on the parish council, the building committee, all of that. With the St. Joseph's Men's Guild, the Bishop's Human Life Guild of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Providence. Predeceased by his beloved wife of 60 years, Mary Louise Bobe Murphy. Survived by his son, his daughters, 5 grandchildren, and other family members. John Murphy enjoyed reading, studying World War II history. A good plate of spaghetti and meatballs with red sauce. Known for his quiet sense of humor, love for his wife Mary, faith, and generosity. John Murphy III. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his Basiliga Hospitality Group. The Beach Boys. Murph says on this date, 1962, they released their hit, Surfin' Safari, Capitol Records. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK, and I love Dave McCormick. I truly do. A couple of questions that came in while he was on. Bob, separate issue, but something we did talk about. Fetterman was on Hannity last night. He says the Democrat Party's lost. And he's the only one left with common sense. He's right. He asked, how can we possibly support a true Nazi like Graham Plattner in Maine, who wishes a veteran dies in combat? That's our own Teddy Daniels. And now with the internet texts and posts on these horrible sites with underage participation. Like, yeah, you're right. One of our listeners, Bob, blame the poor people for the troubles in America, not the $1 trillion they can't account for in the defense budget. Well, they're not mutually exclusive. And by the way, you're only going to get so much for these programs. Do you understand where the money's going? It's going to foreign criminals, foreign terrorists. That's where the money's going. Where do you think the Somalian money went? Not to all Somalians in Minnesota. They were bringing it over by the tens of thousands in suitcases to Somalia, cash. And the same thing is true of all this other money. It's being stolen by transnational criminals, terrorists, and foreign interests and powers. A huge difference. It's insanity. Now back to the data center question. And I didn't get to ask him because, I mean, he's not here to get in the details. Those details are all local. But the listener says, good morning, Bob LTS. Can you please ask Senator Dave McCormick about the data centers that want to come to PA and the surrounding areas and how much extra water and electricity they will consume? It's not for him to answer. It's for these companies to answer to the local jurisdictions. And I've seen conflicting interests. Now, everybody brings up traffic. Well, the data centers have very low traffic compared to a manufacturing or, that's what I'm saying. You can't, I mean, again, can you believe Bill Gaughan? Seriously. Can you believe the Scranton newspapers? You can't believe them. They're liars. So you got to go get true facts here. And you're right. How much water and power will they use, and how will they deal with the water, and how will they generate the power? That's what Dave said. Those are the questions that our local officials have to answer. But you can't answer them in the context of this is evil, because it isn't. But it's important to know, all right, how much water they use. But going back to the water usage, I have seen materials from credible people, not from the data centers, that they're going to use less water than a similar manufacturing or distribution facility would use. That's important to know. The key still is, are they going to keep it pure? And will the utilities promise us the rates won't go up as a result? All of that. It's important stuff. Somebody asked, what does McCormick's wife have to do with data centers? Here's my understanding, and it's very vague. And I have not talked to him about it. She was with a company that was financing or something, had something to do with data centers, and she's withdrawn from that position. That's my understanding because of the potential conflict. So I don't know. It's just do not let the same sickos, whether it's Chris Kelly or Bill Gaughan, lie to you that this is some horrid evil. Let's analyze it. Let's use common sense. And then make decisions that work for the municipalities involved. Bacardos tells me it's 9:50. Murph says 1966. Tommy James and the Shondells debuted with their first single, Hanky Panky. And the women's right to vote, this date, 1919. Let's go to Lee from Scranton on data centers. How are you, Lee?
I'm really good, Bob. You know, I just wanted to say that as far as water to supply the data centers, they need to do what the natural gas industry does up in the Tunkhannock area or wherever they're fracking. They need to build retention ponds, okay, that hold millions of gallons of water, and then they pipe their data center into it, and they use the same water over and over and over again with no effect on the local drinking water or the local water supply. The other thing is they can create their own power generation plants through the financing arms that they use to build these things. But I think it's important for the American people to understand that the Chinese are funding opposition to the data centers, just like the Russians funded opposition to natural gas and oil.
And Lee, we also see
Europe.
the people who are the loudest in opposition in media and politics are people we can't trust.
Well, you can't fix
that doesn't mean I'm for that doesn't mean I'm for the centers. It just means anything they say is almost by definition a lie.
Bob, they're moving information, and the most important thing any society has is information. So if the Chinese create a system that can store more information than us and can move information more quickly than we can, then I think we have a problem. And when you take stupid people, which are, stupid people, you can never tell them the truth because they can't accept it. Now, ignorant people, you can sit there and talk to them and give them information or give them facts that have been proven, not just somebody's opinion. They can alter their opinion. But stupid people, I mean, that's what's driving the local area into the ground is stupid people keep going out and voting, and they're not trying to create an atmosphere that empowers people and moves our society forward, creating better jobs and employment opportunities, a better government which does a better job of, running the local infrastructure in a way that creates opportunities for business and individuals. We don't have that here.
The one thing that I think is established is that, first of all, you can't have 1 million data centers. You can't have all the ones that are proposed. But if you have them, there is a way, if you pay attention and if you care, that they could not harm us and actually be a benefit. But, yeah, again, based on their the people, you got Boy King Billy Gaughan, and you got Chris Kelly from the newspaper, and the newspapers around here, how horrible they are. Well, everything out of them is a lie. And that's leading the opposition, and that concerns me. We're not going to get the truth from those type of people ever about anything. So, it's not bad. We can't have 1 million data centers. We could have some. And it will be a net benefit if the utilities they utilize are regulated and controlled.
If they create their own utilities to power their data centers, that has no effect on us.
Well,
and
the Krieger gang is trying
to
to build these power plants, and people are against them. So it's very hard to separate heat from light in issues like this, and especially with idiots like Gaughan and Kelly carrying on the way they do.
Well, all you got to do is take a look at the immigration issue where there's people out there trying to keep murderers and rapists in the country and all the young girls that are getting killed and people being murdered across our country. So, you take a look at that and you just realize, Bob, that there's a lot of stupid people in the world and they're taking marching orders from whoever they're taking them from, but it's a detriment to our society.
Without doubt. Hey, we got to go to the news. Thank you, Lee. Always a pleasure. Enjoy your texts as well. 10:02 on Ricardo Jewelers Watch. That means it's time for the news. Let's do it. We'll come back. Great. Good morning, everyone. It is 10:10 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Thursday, June 4th, the year of our Lord 2026 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we celebrate today, thanks to John, having lost them this year. Like John Murphy III, Scranton and Connecticut. George Coulter, Narberth and Latrobe. He passed away in Fleetville. George Schlondorn, Carbondale. Robert McGrath, Scranton by way of Palm Springs. Stanley Sadowski, Plymouth. And Michael Kopaz of Plymouth. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment. This meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense, will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all who hearken here. One of the things that has been sort of a surprise offshoot, and I don't know if it's the Islamist influence of the left, but it's this. I don't call it anti-Semitism because Arabs are Semites as well. I don't know how this misnomer and lazy language got into our idiom, our vocabularies, but it did. So this anti-Jewish sentiment, something I could never understand, by the way, but that's a separate issue. But Canada's gone left. And everywhere that's gone left, you've got strong anti-Jewish and rabid anti-Israeli sentiment. And my man Alan sends me Canada's perfect example. A guy by the name of Dr. Emmanuel Moss, chief heart surgeon at Montreal's Jewish General Hospital. He's leaving Quebec. This rising anti-Jewish sentiment in Montreal is a major factor in his decision. He's one of Canada's leading cardiac surgeons, specializing in robotic cardiac procedures. Like, this is the insanity that the left is giving us. This is who they have coupled with to increase their power. And we're seeing it. We're seeing in this election. I mean, a guy who was a character witness for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing architect just won the Democrat primary in New Jersey. This is sick. It's really sick. That's the Democrat Party today. It's beyond comprehension. But that's who they're going with. And now a left-wing lunatic country like Canada is driving Jews out. Is there going to be a new pogrom? Oh, they certainly want it. By the way, more back on the data centers. Somebody said, I still don't understand the mass urge for all these data centers to be better than China. China only has 450 data centers across their country. I can't verify that or don't know it. The U.S. has over 4,000 across the U.S. I think it's safe to say we got them beat. That's part of it. I don't know if they're good or bad. I don't know that they have to be here in Northeast Pennsylvania. As I told you, I'm agnostic on them, but if you own the land, you have the money, and you are going to protect our water, both in terms of price and quality, and you're not going to jack up our energy prices because you'll provide your own power, then, okay. Somebody texts in, but China is funding local opposition around the country to data centers. Why? Maybe we have them beat, but will we continue to have them beat? That's number one. Number two, and by the way, AI is the future in terms of military. There's not even a doubt about that. There's not even a question about it. The country that's in the lead in artificial intelligence will be able to protect us from evil like the Red Chinese and elsewhere. And we better be that country. That doesn't mean the data centers have to be in Archbald. I'm not advocating or against. Somebody texts in, Bill Gaughan is preparing his next Hail Mary pass. The JFK Berlin Wall speech on data centers for his re-election bid. Yeah, he's got to stay relevant so he can run for Congress after Page gets beat this fall. But he's going Carbondale, Jessup, Dixon City, Scranton, finishing Music, Avoca. Yeah, today I'm one of you. I get where you're going. Carbondalian, Scrantonian, Jessupian, Avokian. Please don't be fooled by the... That's right, don't be fooled by Billy Gaughan. Phony liar, period. There's no redeeming quality to his public life, period. Somebody says since 19... Oh, stop it. Since the 19th Amendment was passed in 1990 and given women the right to vote, the country's been slowly going downhill. Women are nurturers, protectors, okay? And when the government or a government official says they're going to protect us, they fall for it. A lot of them. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to vote. More women fall for this insanity that government is your protector than men. They just do. Why? Well, and the reason that is because they're naturally nurturers. And I mean actual women, by the way. Somebody texts in, Bob, you've always been a guy with your hand out or with your hand in the cookie jar. Okay. Or with some kind of an angle. Well, you don't even know who the hell. You don't even know me, you stupid idiot. But they continue. This data center thing that takes the cake. I'd love to know what your skin is in the game. That's it for you. I'm done listening to your show. You're a one compromised individual. I don't have any skin in the game. And see, here's the kind of idiocy. If you bring up facts, they're scared witless of facts. If you bring up facts or arguments that might be contrary to their ideology, because that's all it is, their feelings, you become evil. You're on the take. You're being bought. These people are insane. You can't even have, there's the perfect example. You can't even have a sensible discussion with someone like this. And I don't give a spit if you don't listen. You're too stupid to listen. You really are. You're too ignorant to listen because you don't, by the way, listen's the wrong word. I use the word hearken. You don't care about anything but your idiotic ideology. And anyone on the other side, you're like the local newspapers or the little boy king, Billy Gaughan. Everything else is evil that doesn't agree with you. Stop being stupid. Look in the mirror and shut yourself up. Seriously. Anyway, HVAC dude says, the water for those data centers are called closed-loop systems. Currently working on commissioning data center equipment. HVAC dude, who would know? It can be done safely. Again, in my view, it's not the most job-intensive use of our finite resources. But if it's your land and your money, it's your call, period. If you can do those things. Somebody says, you don't mind data centers because they can't put one in your backyard in Scranton. I care about everywhere that's going to get them. They have to be done right. By the way, they can be done properly. Anybody who's telling you they can't is lying. That doesn't mean I'm for them. That's just the reality. And having a data center, and by the way, I've said this 100 times. I'll say it again. I happen to believe that these data centers may be obsolete by the time they're completed. I believe that. The question then becomes, and I hope this is also a part of the factors, well, once you're done with it, once you're done with the data center and it's become obsolete, what will this building be used for? Will it be used for a new efficient data center? Is it convertible to a factory? Is it convertible to a distribution center? That's questions that I would ask as well. Bob LTS, at the moment, I'm like you, and neither for or against data centers, but to think just because they build their own power source, it won't affect our energy prices isn't true. It isn't necessarily true, so I agree with you on that. Slick says they'll still be using gas or coal resources, which will take from the market and make it more expensive. Slick, there's not even a doubt about that. But we have the resources, literally right under our feet, natural gas, right under our feet, and certainly in Pennsylvania, so that it would never affect us. But you've got people like Shapiro who will talk out of every side of their mouth and their ass at the same time. The guy who is promoting data centers, who knows their energy, they're an exorbitant energy user, is trying to limit our energy development in Pennsylvania. So, with leaders like that, yeah, bad things could happen, Slick. There's not a doubt about it. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be right back. Never knew what that song meant, but always liked it. 1967, this date, The Association. They debuted with their first single, Along Comes Mary. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. And, of course, the Battle of Midway. Man, it turned it all around. And we were outgunned and outnumbered and got it done. That was huge. My word. Quite amazing. Hey, let's go to Nancy from Scranton on data centers. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Bob. Listen, I was just funny that you were talking about this because I just wrote the commissioners a letter. I mean, I don't know much about data centers, but all I want to say is my property taxes went up 44% over the last 2 years with that 33% hike and then the additional assessment stuff. So we don't need another study. And if our taxpayers are going to be paying for it in the county, then everybody should be writing to those commissioners and telling them no. If the study was already done in Virginia, just use that study. Why do we need another one?
The concern isn't taxes. They're going to help the tax base tremendously, the data centers. That's one of the pluses. The concern is, are we going to get screwed on the utility side of things if the data centers are not required to do the right thing regarding electricity and water? They're going to save. They're going to save our taxes.
Do you really think the property owners are going to get a rebate? They've been talking about property tax rebate for 20 years.
Never happened.
Right.
Never happened.
Who cares? Who cares?
Well, if a data center is built and you've got I don't know, some of them are almost billion-dollar projects. You're going to go from raw land to improved land. The taxes are going to be substantial, and it should reduce your taxes. It not reduce, it should level your taxes. Government will always spend more money than it takes in. I mean, that's sad, but it's not going to hurt you tax-wise. The key is...
the study will. The study will. Why do we need another study? I think studies are such a waste of money.
What study? I'm missing you there.
That's what Bill Goggins said.
Anything he says is a lie.
We need a study.
Yeah.
And the other two commissioners agreed with him.
Dear Lord.
So that means they're all going to vote for a study, and we're going to pay hundreds of $1,000s for a study out of our taxpayer money.
Well,
that's the thing I don't agree with. Let somebody else do the study if we really need a study in Pennsylvania.
We don't need another study. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These people, why did we elect you to pay use our money for a study? Yeah, you're right, Nance.
We don't need another study. So I'm telling everybody that listening to you, write the commissioners. We do not need another study.
Amen.
I live in Scranton, and I don't know if I'll be affected with this, but I do feel bad for the people up the line, Peckville, Archibald, all those areas. It's terrible, but somebody else needs to pay for a study if we need one.
Amen on that. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Bob. Take care.
Yeah, so true. That's right. I forgot about the headline in the newspaper. Because, the newspaper's a left-wing spit hole. And so anything Gaughan says, because he's a left-wing idiot, they do. Gaughan calls for countywide study. Wait a minute, Boy King. You've already made your decision. They're horrible. They're evil. They're destructive of the entire planet. Now you want to use taxpayer money? Why? Because you don't know if you're right? Well, I don't get it. You've already made your conclusion. You're doing commercials. You're going to meetings. Why do you need a study, Boy King? Now we're going to see if Tom Welby collapses on this to the left wing of the Democrat Party and then wastes more of our money. We'll see. We're going to see. Thank you for bringing that up, Nancy. I had barely glanced at the papers so far today. We've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will come back. We've got a Veterans Tribute, the weather, and as they always say, but we mean it, more. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, and this day, as with every day, proudly brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And as we're headed towards the weekend, and he just happens to own the best weekend spots there are, we talk about Basiliga Hospitality Group, like the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton, the Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. All of them are beautiful, awesome, great service, great food, great drinks, and fun. And for fine dining, we got even more than that. The Atera 519 restaurant in downtown Scranton, one of the most beautiful places and one of the greatest dining experiences you will ever have. Not a bad bar to hang around either. The Stegmar Mansion, very much the same, but an old world take on all of that. That's on South Franklin Street in Wilkes-Barre. And guess what? The fun starts tonight at Sergei's, the nightclub right underneath Atera on Linden Street in downtown Scranton. George Schlondorn III. He passed away at age 90, May 15th. He was from Carbondale. Born in Camden, New Jersey. After high school, he enlisted in the United States Army, where he served from 1957, being honorably discharged in 1963. He was a member of the American Legion Post in Scranton, Post 920. He married the love of his life, the former Janet Watkins. Together, they shared 67 wonderful years of marriage and raising their family. Family says there wasn't anything George couldn't do. In addition to his loving wife, Janet, George is survived by his children. His son, Richard, his daughter, Janet Wentovich, their spouses, 5 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and I missed it, his other son, Mark. George Schlondorn III. Robert McGrath. He passed away in Palm Springs, California, formerly of Scranton. Born in that city in 1946. He attended George Washington and St. Mary of Mount Carmel grade schools in Dunmore. He graduated from Scranton Prep 1964, excelling on the basketball court. He was one of 5 players named to the Scranton Times All-Regional Team. Honorable mention All-State 2 years. Nicknamed Magic Bob. He went on to play basketball at the University of Scranton, was team captain as a senior. Won the Les Dickman Award for Outstanding Player. Lifelong friend of my old pal, Charlie Whittaconis, the late, great Charlie. Graduating from the University of Scranton in 1968, he was inducted in the United States Army, commissioned as Second Lieutenant Armor. He was later promoted to First Lieutenant while serving with the 5th Mechanized Infantry Division, Quang Tri Province, Vietnam. For his service, he was awarded the Bronze Star, the Vietnam Service Award, and the Vietnam Campaign Medal. Discharged honorably in 1971. He went on to earn a law degree from Duquesne University and clerked for the great James J. Walsh, Court of Common Pleas. Bob worked on the Bob Casey Sr. campaign for Auditor General, part of the advance team. In 1982, he moved on to Palm Springs to be closer to his beloved aunt, Josephine Owens. Admitted to the California bar, he practiced there until retirement. In California, he met his best friend and companion of 28 years, Mary Frances Tennant. The Tennant family welcomed Bob as one of their own. Bob and Mary Frances traveled extensively with the family all around the world. Survived by his nieces and nephews, 13 great nieces and great nephews, 1 great nephew to his family. He was patriarch, father figure, trusted advisor, and chief prankster. Robert McGrath. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. 1969, this date, Murph tells us, Tommy Rowe had the number one hit in the late, great United Kingdom with Dizzy. And, yeah, that country is very close to being lost forever. Insane. Absolutely insane. Hey, there's a great event happening, and it's a yearly thing. And we've got our friends Joan and Neil from the Scranton Region Antique Auto Club of America, and they are with us. Guys, how are you?
Bob, good morning.
Hi, Bob.
How are you?
Talk to me. Tell the audience what it is, when it is, and all of that.
Okay, we are the Scranton Region AACA, which is the Antique Automobile Club of America, and our 55th annual show is this Sunday, June 7th, and we're located at Allied Services Campus in South Abington Township. If you need to put it in your navigation, that's 100 Abington Executive Park, South Abington Township. But basically, you just keep going up the Morgan Highway, past Pullman Farms, you'll see signs. There'll be several signs all the way up. And it's one traffic light past Pullman Farms, and you'll see the signs there and make a right. The gates open at 8 in the morning. Show cars, there's a charge of $15, but the funds go to Allied Services, Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors, and local families who have medical and other needs.
And that's for show cars, there's zero admission fee.
Exactly. So donations are welcome from admission fee, but people can, contribute if they want to or as much as they want to.
How neat.
So,
and 55 years. This is the premier auto event in Northeast Pennsylvania. It really is.
It's one of the top ones, and we welcome all types of vehicles. There'll be cars from the 20s up to the 2000s, and if you have a car, even if it's only a few years old, and you're really into cars, you should bring it. Anything on wheels, anything that rolls that you're proud of or want to show, please come to the show. And not only show cars, we have flea markets with automotive parts, all sorts of crafts parts, and there's something for the whole family. Door prizes, there's basket raffle, 50-50. We have a DJ with period-appropriate songs. There's face painters and a typical food at events like this, hot dogs, hamburgers, ice cream. So there's something for everybody, and it seems like the weather's going to be, the latest weather is pretty good. So we're looking forward to a good show.
It's going to be perfect, especially in the morning, and we kick off at 8:30, so perfect, right?
Exactly. And I think Joan wants to mention a few things about the vendors and the baskets and gifts.
Go ahead, Joan.
Okay, Bob. Yes, we just want to thank everybody who has supported us in this event venture. It's greatly appreciated. We have 25 vendors with diversified products, including, as Neil said, some with automotive-related items and parts. It's going to be a fun family. It's going to be a great, fun family day, and we welcome everybody to come out.
And also, there are a lot of trophies. We have 60 trophies we give away. In addition to those 60 trophies, there's an early Ford award, there's a Chrysler award, longest distance driven, the hard luck award if you break down on the way up. That's not the first choice for an award, but it's one of the ones.
Well, it's going to be fun this Sunday at 8:30 on the Allied Services grounds on Morgan Highway. Great stuff, guys. Thank you for doing it. Number one, great charities will benefit, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, Bob, we appreciate you having us on, and you have a great day.
Always my pleasure. Thank you, Joan and Neil. Hey, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be right back. I had to play it, guys. I'm so sorry. Guys, hang on to the phones, please. Andy Mahalchik on with us after the news. He's retiring from WBRE. We're going to talk to him. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. But Cardos tells me it's 11 o'clock and change. Time for the news. We will return. Great good morning, everyone. It's 11:09 a.m. on my Picardo Jewelers watch this beautiful Thursday, June 4th, year of our Lord 20 and 26 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John, like Stanley Sadowski of Plymouth, Michael Kopaz, he's also from Plymouth, Robert McGrath, Bob was from Palm Springs via Scranton, John Murphy, Connecticut via Scranton, and George Schlondorn, Carbondale, as well as George Coulter, Latrobe, and Narberth. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Well, our man, Andy Mihalchik, he's been a mainstay, investigative reporter, great guy, just amazing at what he does. We saw in the newspaper yesterday that he's retiring. And there he is, our man Andy Mihalchik, and here he is today. Andy, how are you, friend?
Well, Bob, thank you for having me. I'm really honored. You and I go way back. We go so far back it's illegal, but I'm doing okay. I'm listening to that piece, right? And it's hard to believe that. Now that was a recap piece, but that the whole trial was 15 years ago for Chivarella, and that day when Sandy Fonzo came out on behalf of her son who committed suicide and other victims. Your emotions, you're back in that place, back at that time, almost like, going back in time. And it was such a bad time for Luzerne County and northeastern Pennsylvania. But I was glad I was able to, along with other great reporters in the area, shed some light on what was happening there. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. But listen, did you ever? I was thinking as I was listening, I said, I don't remember, but it is possible Andy had his microphone in my face at one time or another.
Well, Bob, I'm glad you brought that up. I think several times, but here's the difference. When you were walking into federal court, and again, I'm not making light of it, but when you were walking to federal court and you fought the fight, we're walking in, here's the difference. And over the years, I always said, heaven forbid I got in any kind of trouble, right? You walk in, if you're really innocent or you're going to face charges, hold your head up high. When you try and hide and run, that just is like blood in the water. It's a feeding frenzy. Listen, I'm not a lawyer, but I've covered thousands, if not tens of thousands of all kinds of cases from very top to very bottom, mediocre to ultimate scandals, right? But when you run, what does that show? I mean, if you're whether you're innocent or guilty, I think you're just walking up to say anything. And Judge Chivarella and Conahan did that in the beginning. They were let in the back door of the federal courthouse. I'll never forget. I said to my guy, we have to go around back. It was Lonnie Miller and Joe Butash, legendary photographers. And real quick, they didn't expect to see us. And quite frankly, a lot of other media people in the market, they'll never let them in the back. That's special treatment. Well, guess what? Because of safety concerns, they were let in the back door. And anyway, so you came walking in the front door, with a confident post, and you didn't run and hide. And, we remember that among so many people in that time that were indicted and charged. You just came walking right in. You had nothing to hide,
Well,
including your smiling face.
As it turns out, I didn't have much to smile about, but what the hell? Andy, what was your favorite? You're retiring. I guess you have some health issues that you're dealing with. This is not necessarily a permanent retirement. Am I correct on that?
Right.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts. Even for me, Bob, like you, I mean, we're the kind of guys, we know all people out there, families know people in their families or businesses. The word retire just doesn't go along with their name. It just doesn't. And honestly, I'm retired per se. I'm hoping to come back to plan with the 2822 News on a part-time basis to get more special reports, investigative reporting. We have a great app, 2822 Now app. Here comes our plug. We do great local programming. I have the Mahalshi Files on there. So I'm hoping to do special reports and spend more time on that. We have a great crew of young reporters who are just, again, being the old guy, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the market, along with my friend Mark Hiller. We see these folks coming in. Yeah, really. And you see them, it's like you as an attorney. You see when young attorneys come in, you know who has potential and those who may have a challenge. But we have a great crew. So they could cover the day-to-day stuff. I help direct the troops if I have to, of course. But I'd like to focus on special reports, again, if that works out somewhere down the road. I mean, it won't be tomorrow. But that's my plan moving forward.
Well, God bless you with your health challenge. Keep fighting. So Andy, let's talk about your storied career. And it's actually understating to call it that. Tell us how you started in media and particularly with television news.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. A lot of people say sometimes on the air, including our anchors over the years, whether it be Keith Martin, God rest his soul, he was a legend. Now Nick and Candace. I would say, the intro would say Andy Mahalchik has covered news in northeastern PA for the last 50 years, and people say, how could that be? Well, I started, and it's hard to believe, 1979 at WILK's, WILK's college radio station. Now, it wasn't professional, but guess what? I covered commissioner meetings back in the day. I covered accidents as far as the college radio station. I had that. I just thought it was important to cover what we can, even at the college radio station, right? Yeah. And that's how it really started. Then I started working in radio. Back in the day, as you know, the progression was you worked in radio or TV, or radio, or newspaper, and you transitioned to television. And that's what I did. I started working at WQEQ Radio and XPX, the Hazleton AM station, as news director, and I worked my way as news director. And then I started working for the Sunday Independent newspaper part-time, and I had an opportunity to work at WBRE TV in 1985. Tom Bigler was a mentor of mine, and I got in there. And honestly, long story short, I just worked hard. I enjoy covering what's happening in our area, good, the bad, and the ugly. And I went from the assignment desk making police calls to the anchor desk by 2003. And everything in between was investigative reporting. And just, you know what it is, Bob? Honestly, there's so many moving parts. I don't use the word exciting as to diminish what we do, but you're covering the human condition and people's stories. And it's really fascinating. And I've been blessed. Everyone throws that word around a lot of times, but I really have. And I'm humbled by what I've been able to experience in the last 41 years in TV and 46 or 7 overall in the media.
Amazing. And honestly, you look the same and sound the same. That's incredible. But what isn't the same is television news and news coverage in general. You've seen all the changes. Just give me some of your thoughts on it.
Well, I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer. Things, I forget who said about the business, the only thing that's constant in our business, in life in general, is change, right? I mean, it changes. And I see changes, and, some I like, some I don't like, but, we're spreading out. There's iPhones out there and cameras and Ring doorbells and, citizen journalists, which is great. But I still think you have to have a standard when you're a journalist, where you gotta get it right. I told our crew the other day, we had a talk in the newsroom, and it was so great to be back there, Bob. I wasn't back there in 6 months. I'll talk a little bit about my health situation, but I wasn't in that newsroom for 6 months, Bob. Right? I walked in there, and honestly, I mean, there were some people with tears in their eyes because we were friends, we were colleagues, we were in battle together. But I walked in that newsroom. I said, we had a little talk later with the crew, and I said, what we do is important. We have to get it right. We can't be owned by anybody. We can't blink. We got to get it right and get the facts straight. And that sometimes with some stories, Bob, doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
The Kids for Cash. There were a lot of reporters. I'll throw some names out there back in the day. Kevin Jordan and Bob Reynolds and Terry Morgan from the Times Tribune. I think she was the Times leader then. We were getting calls from people, parents, who were saying, my Janie or Johnny were sent to prison, or sent to detention rather, which is prison, for no good reason. But guess what? The corrupt people circled the wagons. Getting information, getting confirmation wasn't that easy. There was a lawsuit was filed by the Juvenile Law Center from Philadelphia. It's a long story, but they were able to crack it wide open. But looking back at it, when bad people do bad things, they know how to cover a track. So I told our crew, we have to get it right. I like to be first. Of course, everyone likes to say, the exclusive live report. That's cool. But I want to be right first and not first.
Yeah.
Getting it right is more important than being first.
Yeah. Andy, could you hang with us through a commercial break?
Listen, I'm retired, Bob. I have time. I can wait.
You've got time. All right. Okay. Andy Mihalchik's our guest. He's retiring after all of these years, as much as 50 in our local news media. We're going to take a break on the Bob Cordaro Show. We'll be back with Andy after this. Barry Manilow. Murph tells us 1977, this date. He had the #1 adult charts hit with Looks Like We Made It. Well, a guy who made it and made it happen is with us, our guy Andy Mihalchik. Our man Andy Mihalchik. And Andy, you really covered all the big stories over the years. That being another one of them. I mean, that's got to bring back memories too.
And think about this, Bob. I know a lot of people may have forgotten about it because things move on and other events happen. But the Selinsky case, he's now serving time in Western Pennsylvania, life in prison, for the murders of Michael Kukowski and Tammy Fassett. But there was a fifth set of remains found buried on his property and on Mount Olivet Road. They never identified that. So just think about this.
Wow.
We could get information tomorrow, 5 years from now, 5 days from now, that they've identified those remains through DNA with the technology, and now he's charged with a fifth murder. And here we go again. And Oslinski, he knew how to play the courthouse. He knew how to play the jurors, and he was a cold-blooded killer, but he had a smile. He was like a Bonnie and Clyde type guy. I covered him for 25 years overall with different things, and he was a smooth talker. Let me tell you, smooth talker.
And we'll bring you out of retirement if that happens, okay?
I will be. Listen,
not beyond the realm of possibility with DNA technology of today.
Sure, that's the thing. I mean, now with like ancestry, DNA, all that kind of stuff. I know that they've been looking for a missing Penn State student here out in central Pennsylvania. And they think that name has come up several times. There was talk about a connection to the Felicia Thomas and Jem Barzalowski case, two young girls from Luzerne County. We covered it at that for the last 20-some years, went missing. And, Selinsky, we think, and most police will tell you, had his hands in a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
If he didn't do it, he directed it, and he just wasn't, But I always look at it this way, Bob. Eventually the truth comes out. I really believe that in my experience,
Amazing stuff. Is there a story you wish you covered that you didn't?
Oh boy, you know what, Bob? There were so many I did cover. I didn't have time to think about. It was just, honestly, I know your question. I do think about that now that I have some more time to reflect. And in the last 6 months, I haven't been working because of my health situation. And if I can, I'll talk about that briefly. I want to thank people for the outpouring of support. But a story I wish, I even covered. I was around when George Banks' case happened. We murdered 13 people. I was at Wilkes College and part-time in radio in Hazleton then. And I was at Wilkes College, now it's university, when that broke. So I was 21 years old, hard to believe, 4 decades ago. And that was scary. Any story that comes to mind, I don't want to say Agnes because we covered, I was 12 years old when that happened. I would have liked what I say, it's a horrible tragedy. But to be able to tell people's story, how they come back. And, you cover a story I tell our young reporters over the years, even just recently, this past week. Remember, we walk out of there at 6:01 or 6:31, whatever. Our story's done, right? Okay, it's a story. You report the facts. But when you're covering a story, one, have respect, empathy. But number two, keep in mind the human condition. They're not robots. Neither can we be robots. Mm-hmm. Their lives are changed probably in forever, and sometimes the most horrible way. And some of the murders I've covered over the years, till this day, I'll be driving home, Bob, honestly, and till this day, I'll be thinking about like the murder of a baby, Joelle Donovan, 1992 in Wilkes-Barre. Her body thrown into a creek by her uncle, who fed her, molested her, and killed her brutally. The search on for her body. I was there live in August of 92, real quick story, and they found the body. They were searching. They found the girl. You could hear a pin drop down by Solomon's Creek. It was a day like today, hot, clear skies, right? They found the body, the remains. We knew who it was. I did a live shot. Till this day, it's one of the toughest live shots I've ever done. I'm not going to lie. My daughter, Ben, who's now 37, she was the same age of this girl. And that was a factor for sure. But the whole humanity of it all, still a baby being brought out of a creek, 2 years old. So, yeah, they stand out. But as far as stories covering, some joke that I have covered the Gettysburg Address and, the signing of VE Day. I have been around. My good photographer friend, Mark Albrecht, who retired a couple of years ago. And, Mark, if you're listening, you were great to work with. We always would talk about in the newsroom, and sometimes people would think it was serious. I'd say, Bob, or I'd say, Mark, wasn't it tough we couldn't get a live shot out of Gettysburg that day? And people would look at us like we were serious.
And I don't mean it in the sense of favorite, but what is a story that really sticks with you among the thousands and thousands that you covered?
That's pretty much the easy one, I'll be honest with you. It was an I-Team sting, an I-Team internet sting. If you Google it, you can find it. 2006, 2007. That's when internet predators, the issue, the problem, and it's still out there today, really start coming to the forefront. We did an internet sting where at the time chat rooms were big. High schools had them, almost like Facebook websites today or pages. But back then, like high schools had chat rooms and elementary schools and whatever. And clubs, teams. We set up a sting on with the DA's office in Luzerne County and Butler Township Police. My good friend Bill Feister, who's the chief now. And not knowing what would happen, I said to it, we called around. I said, can we do this? And a lot of the police departments said no one was doing it, really. Nobody. Chris Hansen was doing it on NBC about the same time we were. But, he had a cast of 100. He was working with, all kind of high-tech people. It was me, my photographer, Tony Gargiola from Dunmore. You know Dunmore, Tony.
Good man.
Gargiola, he's a great guy. The DA's office. But what we did was we had a 13-year-old girl, one of our producers posed as a 13-year-old girl, and these perverts and these pedophiles are so slick. They knew the cadence, Bob, of her response, but they always wanted to hear the voice of this 13-year-old girl. And anyway, long story short, six predators in jail. One guy, Jay Hastings, if you Google his name, he was a child rapist. He was a backup mascot for the Grump, for the Red Banners back in the day.
And I still miss the Grump. Not him, but I miss the Grump.
The Grump. Well, yeah, you were deposed. You were indisposed at that time. And anyway, he was taken down at gunpoint. He was reaching into his pants, his waistband. We thought he was pulling a gun. So anyway, that stands out. And now, internet predators, are still out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's scary with what kids have to face today, you know? So that stands out among so many others. You know, my F-16 flight, which I think is going to run tomorrow, we're doing a flashback every night at Eyewitness News, which I really appreciate the company doing that, the team. That was tremendous. You know, you do 9Gs with those top guns, Bob, right? And that's why I give you credit to recognize the veterans out there. You know, here's a bunch of young guys with the Thunderbirds at the airport in 1999. I did 9Gs, flew around like an hour and a half, 400 miles an hour. So if I tried to do it today, I wouldn't survive. I mean, there's just no way. But those guys are just top-notch, and that stands out. But there's so many stories, and I want to thank the people in Northeastern and Central PA. I mean, you know, our area is second to none for sure. Our communities, our traditions. That's why I love the most. I'm going to miss the most as far as on a full-time basis because, you know, wherever you go, people would come out and they just knew we are all in this together. You know, Bob?
Yeah. Great stuff. Well, Andy, we're in this fight with you together. Tell us latest on the health front.
Okay. So basically, you know, I have prostate cancer. It was deemed a very aggressive form, and the technology now with DNA, and they're able to actually determine that the cancer cells are very aggressive. So it really started about this time last year, and I urge people, like, you know, I'm a guy, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to make excuses. I wasn't paying attention to my PSAs. Well, they were getting higher, and the great medical, my doctor said, listen, we got to move forward with this. I know you're a busy guy, whatever. And, you know, shame on me for delaying it a little bit in the beginning. But anyway, so treatments actually started last summer and getting under control, that kind of thing. And it just progressively got more serious, and I just stopped working in December. And the treatments continued hot and heavy in January, which included radiation, all kind of new cancer drugs out there. I could tell folks who, if you're diagnosed with cancer, it's intimidating, it's humbling, it still is for me. Sometimes I wake up, Bob, honestly, I look in the mirror, and, you know, God is good. I'm a man of faith, and I think, how could this be me? I did cancer telethon for 50 years in the Hazleton area.
Yeah.
It was always somebody else. You know, I did stories over the years at the Make-A-Wish, and it was always somebody else. But all of a sudden now, I'm the guy. I'm the person. But credit to Guy Singer, Lehigh Valley, Mount Nittany Medical Center out in State College. They have it's moving in the right direction, but it's a constant process, put it that way. But I'm going in the right direction. You know, I'm not cleared yet. I didn't clear the field yet, but that's a work in progress.
Well, you sound like $1 million and change, Andy. You really do.
Bob, and I'll just say this. I want to thank everybody. I mean, the response, I am so, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but humbled by it to the point of almost getting emotional because these are people I haven't talked to, perfect strangers. A lot of people I have talked to, haven't talked to in decades.
Yeah. All
reaching out, and it's just so great. You know, you hear the phrase, we're all in this together. If only people with humanity would treat others like a human being, and that's somebody's mother and father and brother. Again, I don't condone anything. All I'm saying is try to approach all of us with respect and know that we all have a story to tell. My wife, and I'll close on this note with that, over the years, I would make comments. I would be covering stories and say, I can't do this, and how do you do that? How do you end up like that? And she would say, remember, everyone has a story. They're there. They weren't there in that situation. What led them to it? Again, not condoning anything, but how did they get there? You know. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, you always got to the bottom of everything, Andy Michalczyk. Thank you so much, and we've got to talk to you again in the future. We'll make sure of that. All right.
Well, Bob, I know you have to wrap up real quick. You'll be back on my podcast. You're my political guy, go-to guy, along with some others. We talk politics on a 28, 22 now app. Midterms coming up, so I'm sure you have a lot to say coming forward. But
that I always do.
and we balance it out. We get, but I always right down the middle, and we'll do that again. But I really appreciate. Thank you for having me on. Thank you to all your listeners and viewers who have reached out to me as well. And Bob, I appreciate the time and keep plugging away, man. And we'll be in touch. Okay. Be
all
safe.
right, my man. Andy Michalczyk, God bless you and prayers to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. As we head into the weekend, Basiliga Hospitality, these are the places to be, I promise you. From fine dining, second to none, and better than all, the Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre, a glorious old world setting for the best in food, the best in drink. A Terra 519, one of the most exciting and beautiful dining experiences you will have anywhere. 3 great bar restaurants, the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton, the Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. You want nightlife? Yep. Sergei's Live. They'll be open tonight with no cover charge. Check it out. We were there last week. We had a blast. Picture perfect, and our man Gerard Mayer. Stanley Sadowski. He was 83. He was from Plymouth. Born in West Wyoming, he attended Plymouth High School before enlisting with the U.S. Army. He served during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Battery A, 2nd Howitzer Battalion, 14th Artillery. He was stationed in Germany as well. Prior to retirement, he worked in security for many years at Wilkes-Barre General Hospital and the former Nesbitt Hospital in Kingston. Early in life, he was employed at United Pants, Plymouth. Enjoyed hunting, fishing, cars, sports. He was a member of All Saints Parish, Plymouth. Preceded in death by his former wife, Elizabeth. Surviving are his children, their spouses and fiancés, his grandchildren, his great-granddaughters, and other family members. Stanley Sadowski. Michael Kopacz. We lost him May 24th at age 87. He was from Plymouth. Born in Breslau, Hanover Township. Michael was a graduate of Hanover High School and a member of St. Peter and Paul Ukrainian Catholic Church in Plymouth. He was a veteran of the United States Air Force. Prior to retirement, he was employed by Stegmeyer Brewing Company and the Lion Brewery as a brewmaster. Avid sports fan. He loved his garden, his vegetables. He loved spending time with his beloved grandchildren. Surviving his loving wife, the former Dorothy Waligorski, with whom he would have celebrated their 62nd wedding anniversary, June 6th. He's also survived by his children, their spouses, fiancés, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and other family members. Michael Kopacz. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. No, it's not our theme song. We're not starting another hour. But Murph points out the song we use so often. This date, 1989, Tom Petty moved into the top 10 charts at number 7 with his great song, I Won't Back Down. And neither will we. By the way, news flash, I guess you'd call it. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton, he's going to probably plead guilty, Fox News is reporting this, to retaining classified information. We'll see how that all breaks down. Let's go to our man Wayne from Einen. Wayne, how are you, brother?
Very good, sir. How are you doing these days?
Doing great, thank you.
Doing great, good. Glad to hear that, Bobby. I knew Officer McGrath in Vietnam.
No kid. I was, I don't know why. I thought of you, and then I saw you were on the line. We couldn't get to it. And I'm thinking, he was Play Coup, right?
Yeah, he was in Play Coup.
Yeah.
I was 3 clicks away from that. That's like a mile away.
Yeah.
3 miles away, Bobby. Okay, but we pulled a lot of armor. I was with Camp Holloway. We were basically a chopper base. We pulled a lot of the armor out of mud and also lifted them when they broke down and everything. I met him many times, Bobby.
How about
Nice
that?
guy.
Bob
Nice guy.
McGrath.
Yeah, how about that?
That is something. We're losing you Vietnam vets though, like frightening rates.
I know. Yes, I know. It is a frightening race. I agree with you. Yeah, but I just want to let you know that I did know him. I met him many times. Okay, when we had a full artillery, and also tanks, armored personnel carriers, you name it.
Neat.
Okay, very nice guy. Very nice guy.
All right, so you're from Einen. You've got to have some thoughts on these data centers.
Yes, that's what I was bringing up. I was going to bring that up, Bobby. I don't think the people are being fed the right information, Bobby. I think they're being fed information from the original data centers that were built years ago, okay, or just recently, okay, because they supply their own power anymore by gas, just natural gas. They have their own generators. They have their own. Once they fill the capacitors for the low voltage, there's no more drain off of the grid. Water coolers, as far as water cooling, they just like you see at the power plant. Okay, they have a cooling tower. Okay, they have a storage. The water goes circulates through the building, goes back into that cooling tower. Okay, cools it down, goes into a pool, gets sucked back through. Now you have to fill that tower one time, and maybe a little bit more after that. I'm not going to use 3 million gallons of water a day or whatever.
But if, as someone who lives right in ground zero for so many of these projects, you don't see it as an evil thing.
No, I do not.
Okay.
But now I don't know about the noise factor. I do not know anything
correct.
about
I've heard of that, and it's something that, that's what the local officials are for. Make them answer these questions and how they're going to resolve these issues.
Bobby, I went to a meeting. The local officials, went to one of these units already, But this unit was built 8 years ago, okay? It's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's a lot of people. There's a lot of. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of political garbage going on up here.
I know.
Because of the
I look at the local newspapers, the local rags, and people like the boy king Billy Gunn, and you say, I know they're liars. They will lie about anything to pursue whatever their agenda is, and now we find out China is financing a lot of the opposition to AI data centers in this country. And you have to say, you know what? We better be incredibly skeptical of the opposition. At the same time, we're skeptical of the development.
Right, correct. I wish you didn't work during the day, okay? Go up to Wegmans on a Tuesday morning, around 10 o'clock to about 12, okay? All the local Democratic politicians go up there, okay, and have coffee in the morning, okay? Because I go up a lot, not all the time, but a lot of times. I get stuff from my wife and my sister-in-law and everything, but that's when they're there. Plus, there's a bunch of guys there that I know on Tuesday. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I'll go sit in the one corner over there.
you tell them we said hello, and
Oh, I've had some interesting conversations with them.
Wayne, thank you. We got to go because my time is
Hey,
done.
how's that golf club working out?
I didn't even try them yet.
Didn't try it?
I found the old
Hey.
clubs. I'm happy about that.
I'll tell you what, Queen City Tavern, still, you can't beat it, Bobby.
We're going to meet up there soon. You know it.
Well, I hope so. I really love to do that.
We'll
You
enjoy
take
it.
care, my friend.
Thanks,
Have
Wayne.
a great weekend.
All right,
Take care.
man. It's noon. That's what my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me, but we've got one more thing to do. Mother Teresa, St. Teresa, June 4th. Mary allowed God to take possession of her life by her purity, her humility, and her faithful love. She did it so beautifully. Let us seek to grow under the guidance of our Heavenly Mother in these three important interior attitudes of the soul that delight the heart of God and enable him to unite himself to us. St. Teresa. Thank you, Mary Regina. Hey, Sue Henry show next. Rob O'Donnell show after that. We've got to say adios and gavel to a close today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense. I hope to God I'm with you tomorrow morning to do it again. We are adjourned.